long life. That's it. Can't talk anymore.
Rabbi, the people on this side will have trouble seeing the Rav. Why don't you move the chair around to the side?
Okay, no one else to see. Let's leave it for
I have my children to do it.
Is
that an iPhone?
No.
Is it 7 or 6 or 7 or 7?
Probably 3 or 4.
Oh, yes.
Settings?
It's not L.
Yes, it's in settings.
Settings.
Going to rings, the
Sounds of
notification.
notifications.
Yes, I'm not really very good at it, but I have these today, so I'm not worried. I have the basics.
Sound.
Good evening, how are you? Doing well?
It's all the technical technology. Right. But like just the space and and plus there's losses bring it down to minimum and just
This is my right.
plus like they also is that just a Python extension? You don't say like it's zero extension thing, it's just like that. So ball dot radius space plus 10. No, not the plus 10. Plus 10 is
I don't do it all the time. I can't remember what I'm supposed to do.
You can't say plus. Or, no, you can't. No.
all ready for your trip?
If you say like ball,
Filled up gas?
Not yet. I'll do that after I leave past Olympia. I do.
plus 10.
Why? It's cheaper there.
Space plus.
No, it's on the way. It's about a 2-minute off the road to go to Costco.
Space plus.
Or the casca there?
Yeah, right after you go through Olympia, when you go up the tunnel, the top of the hill.
Okay, so let's say you have a ball, you already have the size.
Yeah, your suitcase back.
Suitcase bag. Who is the rabbi from Stanford, Greenberg?
Yeah.
The different thing.
I know, but he spoke last weekend, or last Sunday,
Where?
yesterday,
Vancouver.
from Vancouver.
A good speaker.
That's what my daughter said, he was a very good speaker.
Who brought him out? Rabbi Greenberg.
I'm assuming they did, because they had like an event, and he was a guest speaker.
Well, it's easier.
There's a nice.
Has he ever been here?
No.
Right, but like but normally you would just say add 10.
I don't think so.
Like you were literally talking to someone else. You wouldn't say plus equals that's it. If I were literally giving instructions every time.
You're saying something equals plus 10.
No, something. But you don't say equals plus.
I know. I'm just saying, I'm speaking English. You're adding something to something. You're saying this is actually.
No, you just say you just add. Well, I guess you're right.
So that's why in this case, that's why you can't just say plus 10.
I suppose.
Because you can say this equals this plus 10, or you say this plus equals 10.
I suppose. It's a little wonky.
Do you think we should start?
If you're ready.
Never ready. Okay, let's start. Let's plug my phone.
Unless you're afraid.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are this week in Parshas Vayishlach. Parsha Vayishlach is in your books on your table. That's on page 170, chapter 32, verse 4 in the book of Bereshit. So if you are starting this week's Parsha without following last week's Parsha, it will be a little difficult to realize what the beginning is about. But basically, Yaakov, many years ago, ran away from his brother, Esau. Esau was interested in getting rid of Yaakov's life. Specifically after he so-called stole the blessings from the father. He was strongly advised by his mother and father to leave home and to go to a place called Choron. In that place, he separated from his brother for many years, as we're going to see soon, for how long. And now he's about to come back. Yaakov, in one hand, he knows he's coming back home. He's going to meet his brother. And in his mind, he wants to, as they say in English, he wants to bring it to closure. He doesn't want to fight with his brother. He doesn't want to deal with his brother. He doesn't want to have any arguments with his brother. He wants to come in and try to figure it out in a way that there should not be any problems between him and his brother. 34 years, he didn't see him. After he left the house, he was 14 years in the Academy of Shame and Aver, 14 years. And then another 20 years, he was in the house of Lavan, right? Where he worked. He worked for his wife, he worked for his father-in-law. And now he wants to bring it to closure. Ginug. You know ginug means? Enough, must speak. Let's bring it to an end. And in order to do it, so he does prepare himself by sending a delegation to his brother. A delegation of angels, messengers, as verse 4 says, and he prepared himself with a beautiful gift. And the Torah gives us all the specifics of how the gift looked like. This was a large, beautiful packet being sent to his brother. And he's also sending a message. After the brother is going to hopefully receive the gift and pacify with him, so he wants to tell him, look, I got all this on my own. I worked, I earned that, and now I want to send it to you so I can find favor in your eyes, which means, in other words, to make peace with each other. Let's see what happens. Let's read a few verses from the beginning. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefonav v'leisav v'echad v'atzo seiros deyedoim. Then Jacob sent angels ahead of him to Esau his brother, to the land of Seir, the field of Edom. He charges them, saying, thus shall you say to my lord, to Esau. So he is referring to Esau with the title, my master, my lord. So said your servant, Jacob. See, he's even ready to use the words, I'm the servant, he is the master. I live with Lavan, and I have inquired by Yehili, as it says in verse 6, Shored v'chamor, tzoin, eved v'shifcha. I had acquired oxes, donkeys, flocks, servants, and maidservants. Ve'eshlecha lehagid le'adoini limtzeichem beinecha. And I am sending to tell my Lord to find favor in your eyes. What is favor in your eyes? Rashi explains. He tells him, I want to tell you, my brother, I am okay with you. I am ready to forget your hatred to me. Please, let's go back in the original state of brotherhood. Doesn't take much. Next verse, they come back. They come back. We met him. And what did he say? He didn't say much, but doesn't look good. Verse 7. Vayeshuva malachim el Yaakov leimer. The angels returned to Jacob, saying, Banu elochicha el Esav. We came to your brother, to Esau. However, vegam oilech likroscha ve'arba me'ois ish imoy. He's actually heading towards you. And he's ready to fight. He has 400 men with him. You don't come to say hello to a brother with 400 men. What is the immediate response of Yaakov when he hears those words? Says verse 8. Vayiro Yaakov me'oid. Yaakov became very frightened. Yaakov became very frightened. What was he frightened about? Vayetzeloi. And it distressed him. He became very distressed with his news, with his information. And Rashi says that he was afraid and he was distressed by the fact that his brother will kill him. Now he's distressed because he has to defend himself. He has to defend his family. And by defending them, the brother, he himself, Yaakov, may kill others. That's the nature of war. In order to save yourself, to protect yourself, sometimes you're going to kill someone. So he was afraid and distressed. He doesn't want to do it. First of all, he doesn't want to die. He doesn't want others to die. Yaakov is afraid. And the Torah goes on with a whole description how he prepared himself after being afraid to deal with the situation. He prepares himself obviously to fight back if needed. He prepares himself obviously with prayer. Can always come to good use, having God on your side. He has a beautiful prayer. 2 verses. Verse 11, verse 12. I'm going to see it in a moment. And he prepares himself by a lavish gift, which is described in verse 14, 15, 16, 17. He goats, 200. She goats, rams, camels, cows, donkeys. Don't ask. Take a look at verse 15. What kind of lavish gift he is preparing for his brother. But, let's not get away from it, he is afraid. Vayiro, he was afraid. Not only is he afraid, as the Torah testifies of his fear, when he prays to God, he makes it clear that he is afraid. Let's read his prayer, a very important prayer. Verse 10, 11, 12. 3 verses of prayer. Vayomer Yaakov, and Yaakov said, Elokei Avi Avram, God of my father Abraham, Elokei Avi Yitzchak, God of my father Isaac, Hashem Oimer Elai, God who said to me, Shuv le'artzecha, ulemoladetzecha, ve'itivo imoch. You said to me, return to your land and to your relatives, and I will do good with you. God, you told it to me. Kotointi, I have been diminished by all the kindness and by all the truth that you have done, your servant. Kibemakli ovarti sayarden, with my staff I crossed the Jordan, and now I have become Lishnei Machanois, I have become two camps. Yaakov, when he came to Haran, he had nothing with him. He had his staff. No silver, no gold, no cattle, gurnished mit gurnished. 20 years later, he's walking back with the army of a family. Sons, daughters, daughter-in-laws. Ha'ol mishpucha. Loaded with cattle, with silver, with gold. This is 20 years of work in Haran. We worked very hard for it. No, there was no free bread here. So he says, God, I feel that you did above and beyond. And I feel actually very small, diminished by all the kindness. You showered me with so much kindness, you got me so close to you, that I feel humble. I feel self-nullified in your presence. You really took care of me. But now I ask you, verse 12, Atzileini no miyad ochim miyad Esav. Please, rescue me, please, from the hands of my brother, from the hands of Esau. Ki yorei onoichi oisoi, for I fear him. Again, fear. Not only did the Torah testify about his fear when he heard that they are coming after him, the so-called natural response to that message, but he's even in his short, beautiful prayer when he's turning to God for help and support, he again mentions the fact, I am afraid. And he asked for rescue. And he reminds God on verse 13, as if God forgot. He tells him, Ato Marto, and you have said, Heitev heitiv imoch, I will surely do good with you. And I will make your offsprings like the sand of the sea, which is too numerous to count. You promised me that you're going to be good with me. God promised you that he's going to be good to you. And you're telling God that you remember clearly that he promised you that everything is going to be good. And simultaneously you're telling God what? I'm afraid. He told you he's going to watch you. He told you he's going to guard you. He didn't just tell you I'm going to be good with you. Just remember last week's Parsha, when God appeared to Yaakov on his way to Haran, God told them in the beginning of last week's Parsha, chapter 28, verse 12, in addition of God promising him a lot of kids and so on, God told them, Ve'inei onoichi imoch ushmarticha bechol asher telech. I am with you. I will guard you wherever you go. V'ashivayisicha el ha'adoma hazois, I will return you to this soil where you left. You can't get a better insurance policy than these words coming from God himself. God says, Ki lo ya'ezefcho. He doesn't say, I'm going to guard him. God says, I will not forsake you ad asher imosisi es asher dibarti loch, until I will have done what I have spoken about you. Until you're going to see that family I promised you. You're going to see the offspring I promised you. I am guarding you. Don't worry. And Yaakov is very clear about it. And at the same time, when he speaks to God and telling him what happened, at the same time, what did he say? Oh, I'm afraid. You're afraid? Yaakov, come on. What are you afraid of? He's not the only person with that fear syndrome. Yaakov is considered the choicest of the patriarchs, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So too we have the choicest of our prophets, Moshe Rabbeinu. Let's turn a second to see what happens to Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu, the great teacher, is in Egypt and is in the house of Paroi. And one morning he walks out and he sees that Jew is being beaten up and he decides to take charge. He decides to take charge. And that Egyptian which was beating up the Jews did not see the rest of his day. He did a job on them and buried them under the sand. And somehow the next morning, somebody alluded to Moshe that I realized what you did. What is Moshe's response? Moshe, you're strong, Moshe. You were ready to kill an Egyptian who was hitting a Jew. And now somebody is telling you, hello, I think I saw what you did. You want to look it up? Page 298, chapter 2 in Shmot, verse 15. Vayiro Moshe, says the verse. And Moshe became very afraid. Vayomer, and he said, Ochei noida adover. The matter is none. Moshe, you are afraid? What am I going to say? What is everybody else going to say? You are afraid? You don't know how to deal with fear. How are we going to deal with fear? Moshe is afraid. Yaakov is afraid. Moshe is afraid. Sometimes later in Chumash, God has to tell Moshe when it comes to war, God has to ensure him by telling him, don't be afraid. When the Midianites are coming to fight Moshe in Bamidbar, and Moshe is standing there, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Hashem tells Moshe, Al tiro, don't be afraid. On page 854. Al tiro isoi, don't be afraid. God has to ensure him, Ab nicht meure. Ab nicht meure. Moshe is afraid. You met God. This is already after he met God at Sinai. He saw the splitting of the sea. The Egyptians were all under his thumb. The whole world is watching how he wins every situation he puts his hand to. And Moshe is being told, don't be afraid. Were they afraid? In the good old days of Arik Sharon, when he had to go out for an operation, was he afraid? Does somebody have to be there and tell him, Arik, don't be afraid? Zhukov, lehavdil, had to be told, Zhukov, be careful, don't be afraid, it'll be okay. I mean, were those people dealing with fear? Fear? No. This is army generals. This is the generals of Klal Yisrael. This is the generals for all generations. What am I going to say 2018 about fear? Everybody's dealing with fear. Today is a world. Fear is like the most common condition. You call your wife, your husband, they don't answer the phone after 3 rings. Oive, was ist geschehen? What happened? Nothing happened. I called a half hour home and nobody answered the phone. And you're going, oh, my sugar. The imagination starts working. And you're sure you're going to come up the street, you're going to see fire trucks and cars, police standing around the house, nothing going on. And you ask your wife, what happened? Oh, I think I put it on silent. Sorry. Every sound, every noise, everything makes, wakes up our inner kishke starting to turn. Oy vey. Every shake, every move. That's the world we live in. A siren. called, in Hebrew they call it metach. Metach. You live in constant, how do you say metach? Tension.
Paranoia.
Oh no.
Paranoia is a whole different condition.
Stress, tension.
Dread, tension, exactly. Famous song, a popular song that Jews sing, the words come from the great Hasidic master, Reb Nachman of Breslov. Kol haolam kulo gesher tzar meod. The whole world is a narrow bridge. והעיקר, לא לפחד כלל. What's the word? And the main thing, don't be afraid at all. Everything, this is that. It became a slogan. It became a song. We sing it. Yeah, Yaakov is afraid. What was the reason for his fear? What should have bothered him? Obviously, he was dealing with a Meshivina. Esav, who Achaya, an animal. But he did more than 2 weeks ago, when he was still only maybe 15 years old. Esav comes home, tired, and when he's asked from his brother to, you want a plate of lentils, you have to give me the birthright. What does Esav say? What does Esav say? He says more than that, I got it. He speaks like somebody who is in either a major depression or somebody was involved in something very not good. Because remember, he's only 15 years old. And what does he say? Vayomer Esav said last week's Parsha, he said what? Look, I'm going to die. So what use do I need my birthright? Which 15-year-old boy is giving up something because I'm going to die? Either, unfortunately, is chronically depressed and is already thinking about death at the age of 15. Or, like Rashi says, why did he say I'm going to die? The Medrash says, because he killed someone that day. And he was tired of killing. In his own eyes, life became worthless. Once you kill a person, and you're a murderer, so life becomes cheap. So he looks at himself. I killed. I'm going to kill. Doesn't make a difference. No. This is the type of life which he's dealing with. So obviously he had to be afraid. We understand that Yaakov had to be afraid, but you know what? The Medrash is not so happy with Yaakov's response of fear and Moshe Rabbeinu's response of fear. The Medrash says this is two men that God promised them something and they were afraid. They shouldn't have been afraid. So there is a Gemara. Listen to the Gemara. I will share with you a small piece of Talmud. The Gemara talks about Mashiach. Hannah wanted to hear about Mashiach with snakes. Let me tell you the real Mashiach, without snakes on the wall. Hannah, listen to the Gemara. Gemara Sanhedrin. Ule said, may the Mashiach come, but I hope that I don't see him. He prayed for Mashiach's arrival, but he would rather not witness this event that brings Mashiach. I don't want to be there. Let him come for Liz, for Farkash. I don't need it. Ula says. Rabbi says, Yese v'lo yichmine. May him come, but I hope I don't see him. Rabbi Yosef said, Yese, may he come, and may I merit to sit in the shadow of his donkey's donk. Donk. I'm ready to even sit there. Comes Abaye. Abaye is the great Abaye, the Talmudic sage Abaye. He turns to Rabbi and he says, Rabbi, I don't understand you. My timer. What's going on? Why don't you want to see the arrival of Mashiach? Perhaps it is because you are afraid the trouble which will be associating the coming of Mashiach. Like it says in the prophets, that before the coming of Mashiach, they call it like the pains of childbirth. Before the baby is born, the mother is going through pain. That's called chevlei leida. Contractions, and it hurts, and it screams. And the birth of the new era of Mashiach would also entail some of those troubling pain. So Abaye tells them, is that what you are afraid of? Our sages already told us that if you want to be prepared to overcome the challenges of the coming of Mashiach, simply be occupied in studying Torah and acts of kindness, and you will be okay. So he says to him, you Rebbe, you are learning Torah. Your life centers around good deeds and acts of kindness, so you for sure have no reason to be afraid. So why did you say that Mashiach should come, but I would rather not be there? So he told him, I will tell you, he had a grandfather, his name was Yaakov. And God promised them, God says, I am with you and I will guard you wherever you go. And nevertheless, there's a next verse which says, Yaakov became frightened and distressed. How do you understand Yaakov's? Being ensured by God that life is going to be good and at the same time being distressed. You know what the problem was? Yaakov says, the sage Rabbi, Yaakov was afraid lest he was afraid that perhaps he sinned, and that sin causes them to lose this protection. So I might be learning, and I might be doing good deeds, but at the same time I might do some not such good things. And those not such good things will take away the protection that the Torah gives me. And that's why I am afraid. And he explains, by the way, that's what Yaakov was afraid. At least, my friends, we see that the Gemara is also bothered with that question. And the sages were trying to figure it out. And here we have a story in the Talmud, but the story also provides us a reasoning into Yaakov's fear. What sin was Yaakov afraid of? But the Talmud doesn't say. But some of the commentaries share with us a big issue that Yaakov was concerned about. You know what it was? Actually, it's something which Esav had in merit over him, and that what made him fear that the Esav may attack him and win. What was the merit? Honoring parents. He wasn't home almost 34 years. Didn't see his father, didn't see his mother. Had no chance to honor them. Esav was home. Esav, matter of fact, the Medrash says that this Esav, such a mamzer, this guy, he heard that Nimrod, the famous King Nimrod, had a special coat, which he got from Gan Eden, and he took an arrow, he killed Nimrod, took the coat away from Nimrod, put it on, but then he realized there's a smell of something holy and spiritual, Gan Eden. He said, no, I'm not going to use it while killing animals. This is a coat I'm going to wear at any time I'm serving my father. When I'm honoring my parents, I'm going to put on the special coat, Nimrod's coat. That's why Also, Yaakov later put it on when he came to get the blessing which belonged to his brother, to Esau. In other words, there is sometimes, and this is what Yaakov is concerned. Yes, I know I probably did a lot of good things, and God promised me protection, but maybe there was something about my behavior which threatens that protection, challenges that protection. Very famous Ramban, Nachmanides, says that Rachel died when Yaakov came into the land of Israel, right? She died right away. The Ramban says because even though Yaakov was allowed to marry two sisters since the Torah was not given yet, but for the land of Israel, that wasn't the proper behavior. And the land couldn't handle a person like Yaakov being married to two sisters. So the first wife remained alive, the second one had to go. Which means, in other words, again, this is all delicate things, but in regard to Yaakov, this can be considered something which threatens his protection. And for that reason, Yaakov comes and says, I'm afraid. That's what the Gemara says, right? That's what the Gemara says. That's what Rabbi was afraid of Mashiach's coming. It's all good and fine, and I'm learning, and I'm davening, and I have kind of created a shield, but at the same time, who knows? People with that attitude of selflessness, like Yaakov, so you can understand that for them, the sensitivity is very high, it's very strong. But there's something more than that, which we're going to discuss a little bit tonight, dealing with fear. You can't go around and keep on thinking, I don't deserve, and who knows? I got this great security system of all the good deeds, but at the same time, I might have messed up some roles, and therefore the security system is not going to work for me. How do you, and again, like I said, the Medrash does challenge their behavior. The Medrash says that this is not a way to behave. The way Yaakov or Moshe, the fact that they were afraid. Being afraid is not a way of life, but how can you not be afraid? How do you deal with fear? Oh. So here comes a very important point, which we have to discuss a little bit, and this is called bitachon. What is bitachon?
Trust.
Trust in God. That's a whole different level of behavior, a whole different attitude, a whole different type of life, which we will discuss in the next few moments. Bitachon. Everybody knows the Hasidic saying. Today it became a song. Tracht gut wird sein. Somebody wants to ask something? You want to ask something? Tracht gut wird sein gut. Someone came to the Rebbe, that's a Machzedek, the third Rebbe, and he said, I'm dealing with this and that. I'm afraid. What did he tell him? Tracht gut wird sein gut. Think positively, and everything will be positive. So what's the trick over here? Is it a game? Is it a fantasy? Is it a conviction? I'm convinced myself that things are going to be good. What does that mean? When do you know that you really trust God? Imagine you come to a tzaddik, you come to a Rebbe, and tell the Rebbe there is the lottery. He's selling a lottery. There's going to be a big lottery ticket, a lottery raffle next Saturday night. $100 million. Rebbe, I want the Rebbe to give me a bracha that I should win the lottery. And lo and behold, the Rebbe tells you, give you a bracha, you should go buy a ticket, you are going to win the lottery. Imagine a person walks out of the Rebbe's room, Givaldik, just got a blessing. The Rebbe, the Holy Rebbe told me I'm going to win $100 million. Another Chassid, who also believes in the Rebbe, runs over to that first Chassid, who just received a blessing to win the lottery ticket, and he tells him, Yankel, I heard the Rebbe said that you are going to win $100 million. You got the blessing from the Rebbe. Listen, it's a lottery. I'm giving you $50 million in cash. Sell me the lottery ticket. Yankel thinks to himself, look, it's a lottery ticket. Here, this is cash. You know what? Better let me have $50 million in my pocket than waiting for Saturday night with a lottery. And he sold it to him for $50 million. This Yankel just lost $50 million. Because if he got a blessing to win the lottery ticket, he should have believed that he would make $100 million. And no one gives up $100 million for $50 million. True or not? If you know for sure that you are going to get $100 million tomorrow, would you sell the right in order to get today $50 million in cash? If you know for sure that that's going to happen, would anybody do it? Truth. Would you do it or not? No one would do it. Who is giving up $50 million? Why did Yankel give up that lottery ticket? Because he doesn't believe 100% that it's going to make him $100 million. He believes in the Rebbe and he asked for a blessing and the Rebbe gave him a blessing and he was very happy when he got the blessing and he danced and he told everybody that he's going to be. And when it came, push comes to shove, when it came bottom line, he was ready to sell it for 50 cents on the dollar because he really doesn't 100% believe that the Rebbe's bracha is going to work. True or not?
We didn't want to pay the taxes on it.
50 million today is better than 100 million tomorrow. No?
That's called the present value.
100 million, if you know that tomorrow at 8 o'clock you're getting 100 million, you would not be patient another 24 hours. The only reason you would do it, because you're not sure that it's going to be out tomorrow. But if you have bitachon, if you have trust, and you know for sure it's going to happen, then you wouldn't do it. So what does bitachon mean? This is what bitachon means. Bitachon, trust in God, means that you have to believe, if He tells you it's going to be good, you have to believe this is going to be 100% good exactly how He says it. And you by the doctor, and the doctor says it's not good, and it doesn't look good, and you turn to God and you said, God, you don't always work with the doctors. Sometimes you go behind the doctor's back. So I want to open that channel with you. And I want to believe and ask you that you should give me a bracha, that it should happen, it should be good. And I trust you that it's going to be good. And I'm going to sleep now calmly because I know that you're going to do it good for me. This is what we call bitach. Is it possible to have that trust in the God? Looks like that Yaakov was afraid. Or maybe that they work together. You can also be afraid and also have bitachon. Are they mechutunim one with the other? Is trust and fear, do they coexist?
Yes.
How?
Because they're
Explain.
opposite to each
Explain.
other.
What?
Because they're opposite to each other.
If the opposite, then it shouldn't have existed. What do you mean?
It's the same way like
Black and
animal
white
soul and
exists.
God's soul exist in one.
What?
The same way, there is animal soul and there is God's soul, and there exists.
So you say what?
Good and evil exist, no? Same thing.
Yeah.
The relationship, at least in my opinion, is that fear is a trust that something is going to go wrong.
Fear is the trust that something is going to go wrong.
Mhm.
So it's not, so you can't have trust that all is going to be good if you're afraid. Because if you're afraid, it means you can trust that something's going to go wrong.
Right. Yeah.
One of the dramatic moments in King David's life, I always encourage people to read Tanakh and to see the stories of how the Jewish people developed into a nation. And one of the stories is obviously the story of David HaMelech. David HaMelech, he went through so much in his life. There's no area that he wasn't dealing with, for the good and for the better. He was like, what do you call those roller coasters? He had a true roller coaster life. I mean, up and down, and the roller coaster, this is the worst type of roller coaster. But then it came to the worst. The real dawn of David HaMelech was when the so-called the evil emerged from his own house. His own son, Avshalom, was his name, and he decided to rebel against his own father. Created all rebellions against his father. He enticed all the people to fight his father, to actually even physically, God forbid, to go and David HaMelech had to escape. He had to flee. He had to run away from Jerusalem. Who was he afraid of? His own son, Absalom. And he ran away with a very small group of a few faithful Talmidim, students, which remained loyal to King David. And with this small group of loyalists, after losing everything from the fear of his own son, so one of them, with the name of Shimi ben Gera, gets up and he starts cursing out King David. Shimi ben Gera was not a simple man. Shimi ben Gera was the head of the Sanhedrin. He was the head judge of the Jewish Supreme Court. He was a loyalist to David, and now he's standing with a small group who escaped together with David, and he starts giving David over his head. Very not nice words. Shimi ben Gera took stones and he started throwing them on King David. And he even calls it the revenge of King Saul, as if, David was so-called, undermining the kingdom of King Saul, and now I'm going to stand up for the old King Saul, which is not alive, as if this is a political, situation. King David, chosen by God, by sending Samuel the prophet to appoint him as a king. And Shimi ben Gera, the head of the Sanhedrin, he gets up there and he throws rocks on David. And he starts cursing him. King David has an officer, an army officer, Avishai ben Tzruya. This is his general, very loyal to King David. Takes out his sword and he wants to stab Shimi ben Gera the way he talks to King David, which is the right thing to do. He's the king. David HaMelech stops him. He stops him. And he's saying just two words, which still today those words ring in everyone's ear. Right here, in the book of Shmuel, right here, when the story develops, and what does it say? Vayomer HaMelech, in Samuel 2, chapter 16, Vayomer HaMelech, and the King David says, Ma li velochem bnei Tzruyo. What does it matter to me or to you, O son of Tzruyo? Ki ekalel, that what's his name, Shimi is cursing. Ki ekalel, ki Hashem omar lo ekalel es David. You know why he's cursing? Hashem said to him, curse David. So mi yoimar, who can then say, Madua Sisakein, why you have done this? David looks at the situation when he gets cursed in his lowest moments of life, when he's being pursued by his own family wanting to kill him. He's losing, the whole thing is collapsing, God forbid. He's the guy who was promised to be king of Israel. And here comes one of his loyalist people and curses him. And the other general wants to do what he's expected to do. What does King David say? Don't stop him. If he's cursing, God probably said, not probably, God said to him, curse. Hashem, Omar lo yikalel. God said to him, curse. We can't do nothing about it. It's not him. I deserve it. He's only a messenger. He's only a conduit in the hands of God. This is not a jungle. What is King David telling us? The world is not a jungle. Everything is organized, step by step, brick by brick, everything and every part and everything which unfolds in society, in history, is all premeditated and organized by a hand which makes it happen. Hashem, Omar lo yikalel. This is my belief. God wants what is good for me. He is doing things which is good for me, and if that's what has to happen for me, so let it happen. Let him curse. I'm not going to stop. Famous story of Rabbi Akiva. The Talmud says that when he traveled and his donkey was taken from him, and his rooster was taken from him, and his candles were taken from him, and he kept on saying, and every move along the way kept on saying, everything Hashem does is for the good. And it didn't take long, and he realized that if he would have had his donkey, or his rooster would have made noise, or the candle would have been lit, he would have been killed by gangsters. They were right there. But they couldn't see him because there was no donkey or rooster to make noise, while they killed the whole group right near him. And Rabbi Akiva said, no, that's what it means. Everything Hashem does is for the good.
Was Shimi ben Gera related to King Saul?
Shimi ben Gera, possibly.
I heard somewhere that King David had prophecy that Mordechai Yehudi and Queen Esther was supposed to come from him.
Can say? It's all good. Prophecies is all good, but at the same time,
That's what I
it's more than a prophecy. He's saying a statement that everything what happens, King David is saying when he says those words, God said it to curse, he says that everything what happens in this world gets a note of authorization. God authorizes it. And nothing happens in this world without being authorized. Whether it be because of the story of Mordechai, whatever story, we don't know all the stories, but it's being authorized. There's no jungle. No jungle. Rabbi Akiva says more. Not only it's on a jungle, you can see that it's coming from a person, it's coming from a God, which he has in his intent, everything the best for you and for us. That's what we saw in Rabbi Akiva's story. You're asking how to deal with fear. Fear is a response to someone who looks at everything in the world as a jungle. Hefker. People do what they want, everything is going the way they want. Okay, I'm locking myself up. All the windows, all the doors, I'm not going anywhere. I don't like what the president is doing. I don't like what the other president is doing. I don't know what's going to happen. America is going crazy. That's it. That's called being afraid by lacking the emunah, the belief that the world has somebody who plans it. Does it always work according to the way we would like the plan to be? No. But we don't know the whole picture. We don't know how things are going to look at the end result, right? We only know part of it. But this is only emunah. This is only belief. We believe that God is running a world properly, and there's a system. And this is what King David is saying. It's all coming from somewhere. This itself can calm a person. But there's something more than belief, and this is called bitochen. Bitochen. Bitochen means that I'm not only relying on God, I'm developing a relationship with God, a new type of relationship, which I am now putting myself in His hand and let Him make it work. The best way it's supposed to be. Meaning, I'm moving myself from dealing with things how they seem to be. I am now entering into a new channel. I'm taking a new road. God, listen, I trust you 100%. I really, really trust you. You are the one who is going to take care of it. I don't want to be afraid. I'm not afraid, actually. No more. I once met, it wasn't a Lubavitcher Chassid, it was actually a Gerer Chassid, which was very sick. His face was yellow like a lemon, he read. And he came to visit them, for whatever reason. And he was so not afraid, he had such an attitude of bitochen, of trust. So somebody walks in, that's where the line comes from, Abu Chaim, by the way. The line that you're going to soon know what line I'm referring to. And he turns to this guy. This is the guy, like I said, it looked like, and when the guy came to visit them, he turns to him and says, no, this guy already lost his grandmother 50 years ago. So the person who is very healed tells him, no, oh, you came to visit me. Yeah, it's a good message to tell your grandmother. You want me to tell her something good? What should I tell her? Give a grease to believer, right? What should I tell her? That, in other words, Allah, it's like you come in, and what happens when you hear that? You start smiling. This itself is a source of refuah. This itself becomes a source of cure. They say that one of the Hasidic rabbis, I don't remember who, was the ones walking by a river with people were screaming, shouting, because a person was drowning. Rabbi Hayit was drowning in the river. And people were shouting, they can't save him. They don't know what to do. And this Rebbe is walking by, and he gives a scream, Rabbi, give regards to the Leviathan. Leviathan is this giant fish, which is, officially somewhere in the water, waiting to be eaten, but she had to go. So he says, Rabbi, give a grease to the Leviathan. Make sure you give regard to the Leviathan. And for a moment, everybody started laughing. Like if you smile, everybody. At that moment, it was a moment of relief. That person somehow was able to grab onto a rock or to a piece of wood, and he saved himself. He needed a moment of simcha, a moment of joy, a moment of bitochen. That's called bitochen. That's called bitochen. Trust. If something happens that you didn't want to happen, emunah, faith, believes, obligates you to think that there is obviously a purpose to it, right? That's what belief does. Belief tells you God wants from you something more, something old, something different. You know, what happens bad is not so bad. Change to do things better, and so on. This is after it happens. Before it happens, then for sure, you have to walk around with an attitude that it's all going to be good. Because there is somebody who runs this world. There's no jungle over here. Yaakov, and that's why the Medrash looks on Yaakov and Moshe and is not so happy with them. And he says, "Hello, you're afraid of Esav? It's not Esav. It's not Esav. Esav wouldn't do anything if God doesn't want him to do anything. Why are we giving validity or so much credit to Esav?" That's number one. Number two, let's say if you messed up and now God wants to lighten up a little your punishment up there, and therefore he makes you up a little cracks. So this itself should be calming you down. And mainly, there is a message here. Yaakov should have looked away from Esav. Yaakov should have turned to God and not say, "I'm afraid." Yaakov should turn to God and say, "I believe in you, and therefore I know it's all going to be fine." This is called bitachon. The truth is, we saw about different Hasidim when they came to a tzaddik for a blessing. And the way they responded to the blessing, that's how the blessing worked. Some of them, when they heard the blessing, they didn't have children. And they came to our Rebbe and said, "Rebbe, we need you to daven for us." And the Rebbe says, "We're going to have a child." They went straight to Toys R Us, and they bought a crib, and they bought a playpen, getting ready for the child. The child. And after 9 months, the child came. And the others say, "No," the Rebbe said, but I always say this story. There was once a Jews in Jerusalem were gathered to pray for rain by the Wailing Wall. They needed rain. And the rabbi gets up there and says, "You're all a bunch of bluffers, a bunch of liars. You can go back home. Nothing has happened." But, "What do you mean? They all closed down our shops. We came here to daven, to pray for rain in the middle of the day. Why are you telling us that we don't believe?" He said, "Because I did not see you coming to prayer with an umbrella in your hand, wearing a coat. If you really believe, you should have come, be ready that 10 minutes into prayer, you got to open the umbrella. You're all coming with your shorts, dressed up, ready to go to the next party. Oh, no, that's not how you come to pray. You pray for rain. You get serious into the mode of prayer, and you make sure that you have a good umbrella because it's going to pour, not just rain. That's called bitachon. That's called trust. That's what God wants from us. Not easy, very not easy, very not easy. But ultimately, sometimes that's the only thing we have. With this in mind, I want to wish you all a Laila Tov, a good night. Enjoy the rest of the week. Those who are traveling, have safe travels. Go peacefully, come back peacefully. We are here.